Hello everyone, COVID-19 update number 5. Wasn't planning on doing one so quickly, but there's a lot going on. The President's address to the nation last night. There's been a lot of cancellations and disruptions to sporting events and to workplaces and to schools and just daily activities of life. With sporting events, not just no fans, virtually every major sporting event has been canceled. Entire leagues have been shut down, including the NBA, which announced last night. NCAA followed suit with March Madness being canceled, Major League Soccer, most of all the European volleyball leagues as well. You add Tom Hanks to the mix, we have ourselves a situation. Some have to even look for alternative options of cleaning up after going number 2. TP is flying off the shelves. This is really interesting, actually. I'm going to just side note here. I looked into this because I just didn't know if I was missing something with the whole toilet paper thing. And I'll talk about it briefly later, but just this idea of panic, and the articles that I read, I couldn't find any better explanation as to why people are so I don't know, infatuated with buying toilet paper right now, other than they just see everybody else doing it, and so they feel like they need to do it. And it's just this idea of emotional contagions, and I think you see people panicking and just stocking up and hoarding just stuff. And so toilet paper has, for whatever reason, gotten a lot of publicity in the media, and so people go to the store and they see the toilet paper shelves empty and they start panicking about not having toilet paper. And so yeah, really interesting. All right, let me get back on track here. Many universities have canceled in-person classes. Everything's going online. Companies, including USA Volleyball, adopting some work from home options for employees, you name it. So, you know, as far as USA Volleyball, the Paralympic men's qualifier in Oklahoma was canceled. The women's national team indoor had a training group coming in and a coach's clinic. That's all canceled. You know, here in USA Volleyball's facilities, we are in the process of adjusting our current operations here in California, especially to meet the new gathering guidelines that was just put out by the California Department of Health today. I think we'll see more broad restrictions in the days ahead as well. Definitely unprecedented times. The new European travel restrictions that were announced by the President last night threw everybody into a little bit of a scramble, since the news started with all travel was being restricted. And so we were communicating with our athletes overseas, and there was a little bit of a scramble, everybody trying to figure out how to get out of there before these new travel bans hit. And then there was clarification that that did not involve Americans that were looking to come home. So that helped ease the panic just a little bit. We're working with all individuals that are overseas, trying to just be available to assist if they need it to get back. Most everybody who is wanting to come back is doing well with their travel plans to be able to do that. And there is there's dozens of our athletes overseas currently on the indoor side that are coming back because their leagues are shut down. It's a really interesting time regarding quarantine. All of these athletes are going to have to be quarantined, 14-day self-quarantined when they come back. Prior to last night, it was just Italy, Iran, China, South Korea. But after last night, the additional 26 countries in Europe that President Trump had outlined are now also lumped into that 14-day self-quarantine. So we are in communication with all of the athletes, and everyone is trying to assist in any way possible for everyone to feel comfortable and feel safe as they come back home. So as you all know, I'm sure, the World Health Organization yesterday declared a pandemic. I'm going to read from the Director General's comments. We have made this assessment for 2 main reasons. First, because of the speed and the scale of transmission. Let me be clear. Describing this as a pandemic does not mean that countries should give up. The idea that countries should shift from containment to mitigation is wrong and dangerous. And this is an interesting topic of conversation, this idea of containment and mitigation. I won't go into it a lot. If you're interested, you can look a little bit more at it. Containment is about the tracking and tracing of the disease to prevent the spread and essentially eradicate it and get that number down to 0. Mitigation is what you kind of move to when you feel there is an uncontrolled nature to the spread of the disease. And examples of preparing our health systems to mitigate deaths. And now the idea of moving to mitigation completely is being rejected by the WHO. He really does like the idea of containment and mitigation to proceed in this way. He says, on the contrary, we have to double down. This is a controllable pandemic. It's interesting that he says that. I know there's a lot of opinions out there about whether this is controllable or not. The World Health Organization Director General says this is a controllable pandemic. Countries that decide to give up on fundamental public health measures may end up with a larger problem and a heavier burden on the health system that requires more severe measures to control. All countries must strike a fine balance between protecting health, preventing economic and social disruption, and respecting human rights. We urge all countries to take a comprehensive approach tailored to their circumstances. This is a serious situation, but we all need to stay calm. You know, I think many people feel consumed by this pandemic. They can't do anything else but watch TV and read the news on the internet and scroll through social media and consume more and more and more of this info. And yes, it's important to stay updated. Yes, you need to take precautions and be prepared, but check in with yourself to make sure you have a healthy balance to the type and quantity of information you're consuming as it relates to this new disease. There's a lot of what ifs, and there's a lot of things to be concerned about. I like the military leadership mantra noted in the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willenick and Leif Babin, and they say relax, look around, and make a call. And I think if Navy SEALs can say relax and look around and make a call, I think that makes sense that we can all kind of relax, use our reason and rational thinking, take a look at what's going on, and decide what's best. And I think some people mistake it when you say relax. They see that as a sign that everything's fine and you shouldn't worry and there's nothing to be concerned about. And that's not what I don't think anybody's saying when they say relax. It's just remember the idea of emotional contagions, and if you panic, those around you will most likely follow suit. If you're calm and thinking rationally, others will tend to operate this way as well. So a lot of moving parts here with this, as I'm sure there's a lot of more news to come, but that's it for COVID-19 update number 5.